And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
Is Ryan Reynolds about to lose the role that made him a Hollywood icon? A role that skyrocketed him from just another comedy actor to one of the most sought after stars in the industry? A few short years ago, he was not just playing Deadpool. He was Deadpool, the character we couldn't imagine anyone else portraying. But now things are looking far from smooth for the actor. There are whispers of an ongoing lawsuit with Marvel, and even the usually unfiltered Joe Rogan has roasted him for his over-the-top ego. How did Ryan go from being the Hollywood golden boy to finding himself on the brink of career disaster? Let's break down the wild twists and turns of his career. Ryan Reynolds' relationship with Marvel has always been a bit special. After all, Deadpool was a game changer for both him and the studio. He didn't just step into the character's shoes, he built the character, making Deadpool into one of the most beloved and profitable antiheroes in Hollywood. But over time, Marvel started shifting gears. The creative team, initially all for Reynolds' input, began to feel uneasy about just how much power he wielded over the Deadpool franchise. Think about it. Ryan wasn't just an actor here, he was involved in script development, helped shape Deadpool's marketing, and even influenced the way the character interacted with the broader Marvel universe. That level of control raised some eyebrows. Could Marvel let this continue when they had bigger plans for their superhero universe? It was becoming clear that Reynolds might be outgrowing his role, not just as Deadpool, but as a star under Marvel's rule. With the rise of the MCU's interconnected franchise, Marvel was looking to streamline its approach. So when it came to the future of Deadpool, they couldn't help but reconsider Ryan's place. Then there's the other half of the power couple, Blake Lively. Ryan's career didn't just boom because of Deadpool, his personal life became a huge part of his brand too. But rumors started to surface that Blake wasn't just sitting on the sidelines while Ryan built his Hollywood empire. Word was she was using his growing influence to further her own career. People in the industry began to whisper about Blake's involvement in pushing for better roles and high-profile projects. Was she just being the supportive wife, or was she strategically inserting herself into the Hollywood conversation? Some of these rumors seemed harmless. After all, who wouldn't want their spouse to succeed? But in Hollywood, where egos and power dynamics run wild, the idea of leveraging your partner's star power isn't exactly new. Some even speculated that Blake might have been using Ryan's popularity to secure better roles for herself. This added fuel to the fire of Hollywood's growing perception of Ryan and Blake as a calculated duo, pushing for bigger things behind the scenes. In a town that thrives on power plays, it's no surprise that whispers of manipulation could follow. But let's talk about the real turning point. Deadpool 3. Ryan Reynolds, known for his sharp wit, reportedly took things a little too far with his humor. Sure, Deadpool's all about pushing boundaries, but in this case, Ryan allegedly aimed his jokes squarely at a fellow Hollywood director, Justin Baldoni. One particular scene reportedly mocked Baldoni's tendency to star in his own movies, despite being criticized for his acting ability. These were not just playful jabs, they were personal attacks. Was this typical Deadpool-style humor, or was it Ryan crossing the line? The real issue? This wasn't just a random joke. It was an inside Hollywood jab that could have real-world consequences. Marvel, ever the cautious corporate machine, immediately saw the potential for backlash. If this personal attack got out of hand, it could spark a massive feud in Hollywood, and Deadpool, as a franchise, would bear the brunt of that drama. Marvel is known for keeping things in check, and seeing one of their top stars embroiled in unnecessary controversy was too much of a risk. The atmosphere behind the scenes started to shift, and Ryan's role in Deadpool 3 was suddenly in question. So what did Marvel do in response? They didn't just issue a warning or ask for some script rewrites, they took legal action. Ryan Reynolds, the man who had helped define the modern-day antihero, was now being challenged by the very studio that made him famous. The reports started to roll in. Marvel had officially issued a lawsuit against Reynolds for breaching his contractual obligations and potentially jeopardizing the brand. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was a clear statement from Marvel. They had no patience for actors who thought they were untouchable. As the legal battle heated up, so did the rumors of Ryan being replaced in the Deadpool franchise. Hollywood, known for quickly moving on from troublemakers, wasn't ready to let Reynolds get away with what they perceived as an act of disrespect. His behavior was too unpredictable, too dangerous for a franchise that could easily move forward without him. And if things weren't already looking rough enough for Ryan, Joe Rogan weighed in. Now Rogan is no stranger to calling out Hollywood's elite, but this time he went in on Reynolds with an intensity that even his fans found shocking. On his podcast, Rogan unleashed a fiery rant, claiming Ryan had gotten too comfortable, too big for his britches. He thought he was untouchable, Rogan said, pointing out that Ryan's overconfidence could very well be his undoing. Rogan didn't just stop there. He suggested that the actor had ruined his own chances by pushing too far, mocking him for thinking that the Hollywood system would keep rolling with him indefinitely. The public roast became a sensation, with Rogan's millions of listeners diving into the controversy. Ryan's reputation, already on shaky ground, took another hit as fans, media outlets, and Hollywood insiders began to question if he was truly on the way out. So where does that leave Ryan Reynolds? The fallout has been massive. Studios who once fought for a piece of Ryan's star power are now hesitating. Reports started to trickle in that several of his upcoming projects were being delayed or outright canceled until the lawsuit with Marvel was resolved. Was this a sign that Ryan's star was fading in Hollywood? Maybe, but one thing was for sure. His place in the industry was no longer guaranteed. Even more troubling was the looming possibility of Ryan being replaced as Deadpool. Fans and Hollywood insiders alike started to entertain the idea of a new face behind the iconic mask. Could anyone else truly play Deadpool? That's the million-dollar question. But the reality is that Hollywood moves on fast. And if Marvel is ready to cut ties, Ryan could very well find himself out of a job in a franchise that made him famous. But here's the million-dollar question. Is Marvel overreacting? Sure, Ryan Reynolds might have gotten a little too comfortable with his power in the Deadpool franchise, and yes, some of his jokes went a bit far. But was it really grounds for a full-blown lawsuit? Many fans and industry insiders are scratching their heads over whether Marvel's extreme legal action was warranted. Let's take a step back. Ryan's contribution to the success of Deadpool and the entire Deadpool franchise can't be understated. He was more than just an actor in the film, he was its heartbeat. He brought a unique blend of charm, wit, and irreverence that turned Deadpool into a pop culture phenomenon. Not only that, but his involvement behind the scenes, suggesting script changes, being a key part of the marketing push, and even engaging with fans, was integral to the success of the films. In many ways, Ryan became Deadpool. Can you imagine anyone else in that role? Fans still argue that no one else could bring that same energy to the character. So when Marvel suddenly starts cracking down, many are asking, is it really about keeping the Deadpool brand protected, or is there something deeper at play here? However, that doesn't necessarily mean they should toss aside everything Ryan has built. Some fans argue that instead of punishing Reynolds, Marvel should find a way to collaborate with him in a more structured way, without allowing the chaos of unchecked creativity to spill over. After all, part of what made Deadpool stand out in the first place was the character's irreverence, and Ryan's willingness to push boundaries was part of that magic. The question remains, can Marvel continue to embrace Deadpool's unique brand of humor without turning into another cookie-cutter superhero franchise, or do they risk losing everything that made Deadpool special in the first place? In the end, it's clear that Ryan Reynolds, for better or worse, has helped redefine the superhero genre. But whether Marvel overreacted by taking legal action, or whether this was a necessary move to maintain the integrity of the MCU, will be debated for years to come. Is this a case of corporate caution, or are they destroying one of their most unique assets out of fear? Time will tell. Where does this leave Ryan Reynolds? It's hard to ignore the looming question of his future in Hollywood. Once considered untouchable, Reynolds now finds himself in the midst of a battle that could define the next phase of his career. While Deadpool 3 hangs in the balance and his legal troubles continue, there's a much bigger conversation happening behind the scenes about what comes next for him. On the one hand, Ryan's career could easily be on its last legs. With Deadpool potentially out of the picture, a lawsuit that could cost him millions, and public criticism from figures like Joe Rogan, it's easy to see why some would write him off as another Hollywood casualty. But here's the thing, Ryan Reynolds is resilient. He's reinvented himself time and time again. This is the same actor who went from a romantic comedy star to an action hero to a comedy genius, and even to the world of business with his stake in aviation gin and Mint Mobile. So does this mean his career's over? Not quite. In fact, Ryan might be one of the best examples of an actor who knows how to pivot. He's built a brand not just around his roles, but around his persona. Whether he's cracking jokes on social media, promoting his business ventures, or starring in films that blend humor with heart, Ryan has developed a level of fame that goes beyond just the movies he's in. This is why it's so hard to predict whether this legal battle with Marvel will truly spell the end of his career, or if it's just another obstacle for him to overcome. There's also the possibility that Ryan could move away from acting altogether. Hollywood has seen plenty of stars make a graceful exit, transitioning into other industries like producing, directing, or even entrepreneurial ventures. Ryan has already shown that he has an eye for business with his successful investment in aviation gin, which was eventually sold to Diageo for a reported $610 million. If Ryan decides to step away from the limelight, there's no doubt that he has the skills and business savvy to thrive in other areas. But there's one factor that can't be overlooked. Ryan Reynolds still loves acting. Despite the controversies, despite the legal battles, despite the public scrutiny, he still has that passion for his craft. Ryan's future in Hollywood is uncertain, yes. But if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he's not one to go down without a fight. As long as he can keep up the charm, the wit, and the charisma that made him a household name, Ryan Reynolds might just surprise us all. So what do you think? Is Ryan Reynolds done for, or is this just a bump in the road? Can he salvage his career, or will this be the end of his reign as Deadpool? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more Hollywood drama as it unfolds. This story isn't over yet, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.